Hey guys, today is Monday, May 11th, 2026. My name is Tony. This is my podcast and welcome to it. So I realized looking at the calendar today, it's been pretty close to a year since the last time I recorded anything for this show, and I guess a lot has happened between then and now. Not the least of which has been that I finally moved away from Calgary and I'm back in beautiful British Columbia, living in Canada's only desert in the beautiful town of Osoyoos BC. And I'm just loving it. Been enjoying the sun, been enjoying the lake, just been enjoying the peace that comes along with living in a town that's only got, like, I think between 5 and 7,000 full-time residents. Been making new connections, been figuring out how to let go of old ones. And yeah, feeling settled. And I've been wanting to record for a couple of months now, but I feel like every day brought a new excuse. And today I ran out of excuses. I realized I've been dealing with some sort of weird mental block. I guess because for the first time in over 6 years, I'm recording in a different space than the studio that I was used to working in. And I guess it just took some time to push past that mental barrier, but here I am. So, yeah, where to start when it's been this long? I've over the years kind of gone out of my way to avoid, I don't know, turning into like just another atheist podcast. I mean, my feelings about religion and my departure from it have been themes that have come up once in a great while, but I haven't really spent a lot of time dwelling on it. I'm not really sure if there's a good reason for that when so much of my life is, um, I'm going to say tinted, not tainted, but tinted by that experience. And I don't know, I've been in a weird spot because I mean, part of coming to a new town is realizing that you show up and you don't know anybody. And when I was a churchgoer, going to a new place wasn't really um as stressful, I guess, because I knew that worst came to worst, if I didn't make any new friends, I could just go to the local church, tell them like, "Hey, I'm a member of the club too." They'd welcome me in, and within a matter of minutes, I would have some new connections. And it's not that easy outside of the church community, especially for somebody who doesn't drink, doesn't party. I don't even smoke weed. Maybe a little bit boring in the sense like I don't even really particularly like coffee anymore. I'm more of a green tea guy these days. So anybody who wanted to meet up, I've basically made it as difficult as humanly possible for these connections to happen. But anyways, part of that train of thought was thinking, like hey, how much of the religious experience I actually miss. And that's something for sure I really haven't talked about over the years because it's really easy to talk about the things that hurt, to talk about the people who were assholes, to talk about the backstabbing, how the pastor's wife is a gossip, how there's like the nonstop stress and blah 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 blah. I mean, anybody who's religious, whether you're in or out of it, like you understand the stresses I'm talking about. And there's a lot of downside to subscribing to that sort of a belief system. But the upside is the community stuff. I mean, not just as far as like how to meet new people, but I mean, if there's something going wrong, whether or not you believe in the power of prayer, there's like a lot of community involved in prayer. It's kind of like the therapy of knowing that somebody cares enough to sit down and hear you talk through your things and to speak words of encouragement to you. And part of me was wondering, like, could I put my distaste for religion aside, maybe just attend a Jesus church? Could I just, I don't know, not prioritize my atheism, prioritize my need to interact with other humans. But then something happened that kind of like got me off of that train of thought. Like I ended up making friends with a local country singer here. His name is Fred Tober. And I normally don't like dropping full names, but his name will probably come up a little bit across my various projects because I mean, trying to help him promote the sales of his CDs locally here. And he's sort of become like an adopted father figure to me lately. But as a 76-year-old man, Fred has found himself in a position where, like, what he was telling me is he's feeling lonely, and it was no knock against me. He's just feeling lonely because all of the people that he was most closely connected with, his best friends, his siblings, these are all people that have passed away. And I think it does something to a person's mind when they realize that, you know what, I'm probably going to be next. Not in a morbid way, but just in a way where it's like, I think realistically, you have to mentally prepare for what's coming. And not just, am I going to drop dead tomorrow? But like, he saw how some of his friends went out. Like he lost some of them to circumstance. One of his best friends, if not his best friend, he did lose to circumstance in the case that she kind of lost her full capacity, if I can put it that way. It was basically a dementia situation. So it got to the point where she wasn't really clear on who was and wasn't in her life, what day it was, what time it was, what was being spoken about. Like she'd forget the beginning of the sentence by the end of the sentence. And she ended up getting moved off to a full-time care facility. And like that was the last like really like meaningful connection Fred had was this friend of his. And so he had asked me, would you pray for me? And it put me in an awkward position because yes, I mean I'm capable in that like I know how to say the magic spells. I was a Christian for over 30 years. I'm very familiar with the scriptures. I know how to read. I mean, it wouldn't have been like really much of a stretch for me to just pretend and open up the Bible and read the passages he likes, tell him, what my interpretations of them might be, putting on my old Christian hat. I could have said the words, I could have gone through the motions, but because this guy's a friend, because I think that I owe him the honesty of not pretending, of not faking, I thought maybe the local churches might be better equipped to handle this end of his needs than I am. And I wasn't meaning to cast any judgment or on anybody, like quite the opposite. It's like, okay, like I'm dangerously underqualified to be somebody's faith companion. Somebody of the same faith probably would be a better fit. So that's what I did. I emailed several of the local churches saying, hey, this is the situation. There's this old guy. He's feeling isolated. He's feeling alone. He would really like somebody to pray with him, help him make sense of this end of life stuff he's trying to mull through. Maybe one of the pastors or the elders of the church, or even just one of the older members of the church community. I mean, maybe they would like to come and sit with this guy. But after a couple of weeks, I hadn't heard anything back from any of the churches. And this really, really bugged me because they're not taking care of one of their own. And this all this stuff started coming flooding back for me about all the ugly sides of religion, like all the stuff I didn't like dealing with. I started remembering things like when my grandmother, she was 100 years old. She had given 10% of her income to the same church for the better part of like 80 years. Or sorry, not 80. Yeah, about 80 years. What am I saying? Like she supported everything. She gave beyond her 10% quite often if they needed something. They knew how to cash in on the old lady. It's not like she was a rich woman either, but I mean like she gave until it hurt and then some. She volunteered for the community. She did everything for the members of that congregation. And when she found herself close to 100 years old at this point, if not 100 years old, just wanting the pastor from her church to come and visit her in the home where she was living and sit with her and pray with her, it was too much. The pastor was too busy. The elders were too busy. They sent one or two members of the youth group. It's kids. It's not what she asked for. She didn't ask for kids. She wanted somebody mature to talk to, somebody who was um, well established in the faith. Specifically, the pastor is what she had asked for. And I guess after everything she had given of her time and her money, they didn't feel that they owed her that much. And getting back to my friend Fred, I thought, well, maybe if one church didn't respond, I could handle that. I mean, that makes sense, but for none of them to reach out. So I made a post on Facebook and I said, hey, and this is within a local community group. I said, hey, I just wanted to basically say that I'm very disappointed in the local churches. I reached out, blah, 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 told them the whole story. And like not one of these people reached out. And I wasn't posting this to kind of like attack anybody. I just thought maybe if I put out a public plea, then one of the members from one of the congregations, who I didn't name, by the way, kept everything anonymous because I didn't see the point in shaming anybody specifically. Not what I was looking for. I just made this really like general comment about disappointment for the reasons stated. Said that like I had waited a couple of weeks before posting because I understand that churches are staffed by volunteers. Sometimes they're understaffed. Sometimes it takes a while to reply to messages, but nobody replied. And meanwhile, there's this old guy that is waiting for somebody, anybody, to read scriptures with him and to pray with him. And me, the local token atheist, I'm the one he's got. And I don't mind being the one he's got, but again, like I'm not the best person for this job. And what really shocked me was the overwhelming number of responses that that post got. And not that they were like an overwhelming number of positive responses. The majority of these responses were people like from the local churches, either like on the best end of the spectrum, just making excuses, not saying, hey, it's hard for them to get around to messages, but I'd be happy to stop by. Just like it's hard for them to respond to messages. They're not open every day, full stop. Those were the good messages. The bad ones are basically like treating me like I just like hate bombed. In fact, one guy specifically accused me of hate bombing the local church. It's like I wasn't coming off being an asshole. Just like, come on, like help, please, in a general sense. And it's not that everybody that replied was an asshole. Everybody that replied publicly with a comment was like somewhere on the spectrum of just being a straight prick, with the exception of the non-religious people were actually really decent. A couple of like people saying, "Look, I don't believe in this shit anymore, but I'd be happy to sit there and read Bible verses and talk about things with the old guy." Somebody else like, "Well, I stopped being a believer a long time ago, but I understand the need for prayer. I'd be happy to pray for him, whether with him or just tell him I'm praying for him, just as a token effort, just so that he understands that like I care enough to take time out of my day to do this stuff." Like there's something upside down in the world when the non-religious people are the ones that are offering to pray. Like what the fuck? Now, I don't want to say that nobody offered to pray, but there was like maybe six or so of them, and they replied via private message. One lady did show up within about an hour and went to where he's living and prayed with him, and she went to see him the next day, and that was cool. But I guess that there's a point to all of this other than me just trying to get back in the habit of recording my thoughts. The point is that these things that we leave behind in religion, that sense of community that I was missing. I realized that I don't need to reactivate my subscription to the Christian faith in order to find community, because what I found was that in interacting with this person who was in need, that was the first block in building my new community in the new town where I'm living, in trying to support this person, in searching around for help for the various things that he wants, in letting people in the neighborhood know that, hey, it's Fred's birthday's coming up. He's turning 76 on Wednesday, by the way. And he's brought so much joy to people. I mean, going around this community, people love him, but of course, a few people don't really love him, but that's fine too. I mean, not all of us are for everybody. But just this simple act of like identifying this one person who was lonely and deciding that, you know what, I'm going to be a friend to him, first of all, because he doesn't seem to have anybody else. And second of all, because I need a friend too. It opened the door to all these other connections, and all these little bricks have been falling into place and me building a community in my new home. And these bricks continue to get laid. Like on Wednesday afternoon, we're going to have a birthday party for Fred. I don't know who all in the community is going to show up. Hopefully, a lot of people. Hopefully, we sell some CDs. Hopefully, we show off his customized vehicles, and hopefully, it's a good time. But even if it just ends up being Fred and Janelle and I sitting down and eating a hamburger together, even if nobody else shows up to the birthday party, I realize that this community of one that I have to rely on. That's not nothing. It's actually quite a lot. And really none of us has to be alone. Maybe we don't get the friends that we want. Maybe we don't get the community we're hoping for. Maybe we don't even get everything we need, but if we get something, if we get someone, I think learning to appreciate that one someone, learning to build on it, or just take the time to invest in that one spot, it's not a waste of time. I know he thinks that I've been doing him a lot of favors, but what I don't think he's realized is how much he's given to me as well, just in giving me somebody to take care of. I mean, my dad died May 9th, 2002. That was just like the anniversary of that was a couple of days ago. And I often wondered, what would it have been like if he had died? What would it be like if he was old as fuck and irritating me on the daily? And one thing Fred's given me is knowledge of more or less what that would look like. So I'm feeling useful, I'm feeling valuable, and I'm feeling like a little bit less of an orphan these days. So, yeah, sorry if this kind of went in circles a little bit, but I'm nervous because it's been like a year since I've done this. Anyways, I will talk to you in about a week or so.